All right, good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for being here today. Today is what day? We are at not January, good gosh. Let me take another sip. June 26th, 2026, and you all are here for Cleveland Planning Commission. Thank you for being here today. We will now call the meeting to order. To start our meeting, we will hear the preamble and the meeting procedures. Turning over to Evelyn.
In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio's open meeting law and Section 101.021 of the Codified Ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conduct their meetings in a manner modeled after Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Recusals from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting has the opportunity to be heard, we ask that online participants use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube. All requests to speak on a particular matter submitted through proper channels have been considered. We have also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter. Proper channels for comments are listed below. Communication with members of this body must follow proper channels for consideration. Any comments received by the Wednesday noon deadline are collected by city planning staff and disseminated to the commission members prior to any scheduled meeting. Proper channels for public comment. Sending an email to the city planning at clevelandohio.gov address with a comment or a letter. Calling and or leaving a message at 216-664-2210. Sending a letter or dropping off comments at City Hall. Meeting rules and procedures. The chair will call each agenda item, and then each applicant will be invited to proceed through their presentation. Each presentation should be completed prior to questions and comments from the commission in order to facilitate a smooth presentation. Once the presentation has concluded, the chair will ask planning staff to summarize Design Review Advisory Committee recommendations, if applicable, and any public comments received. Public comments received through the proper channels by the deadline are distributed to commission members prior to the meeting. Staff will also identify any members of the public present and scheduled to speak. Public comment is allowed at the discretion of the chair, and any individual providing public comment is permitted 2 minutes to speak to the agenda item in which they have an interest. The chair will then request a recommendation from staff, if applicable. The commission will then begin deliberations and project review. Any commission member, except the chair, may make a motion at any point after an agenda item has been called. Protocol for public comments. This meeting of Cleveland City Planning Commission is a lawful meeting that follows the following policies regarding public commentary per Section 605.04 of the Codified Ordinances. No person, with purpose to prevent or disrupt a lawful meeting, shall do any act which obstructs or interferes with the due conduct of such meeting. Members of the public may provide public comment if required by law, in accordance with our rules, and sometimes at the discretion of the chair. Disruptions include, but are not limited to, speaking out of turn and or making loud utterances that interfere with the due conduct of this lawful meeting and may constitute a misdemeanor and a violation of Section 605.04. If this meeting is substantially disrupted, the chair will call for a recess and the room will be cleared. Persons who violate the city ordinances and commit misdemeanors may be subject to prosecution. When this body is able to return from recess, then in compliance with the Ohio Open Meeting Act, if applicable, and Section 101.021 of the Codified Ordinances, the meeting will be open to the public.
Thank you, Evelyn. So our first order of business will be to call for a roll call. Evelyn?
Morning, Anthony,
Present.
Fluker,
Present.
McCray Scott is not present. Sargent is not present. Slife
Present.
and Whitfield.
Present.
You have a quorum. Thank you so much. We have received the minutes in advance. I'm going to ask for approval of our January. Goodness, I really want to go back to January. Not that I want to redo the whole year. I don't know. Not enough caffeine. To approve our June 5th minutes, may I please have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve June 5th meeting minutes as presented.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Anthony?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
We have we have approval. Thank you so much. Our first item on the agenda today is a conditional use and zoning referral. This is for a large state licensed residential facility for 6 to 16 people, PRJ 260109553. We have Xavier, and I just want to note that this will be for a public hearing. So we'll hear the presentation and then we'll take public comments for those that are in favor and those that are opposed.
Good morning. Thank you. My name is Xavier Bay. I'm a zoning planner with City Planning. I do actually want to just make sure we have the applicant present as well. I believe it's Ms. Farron White.
Yes.
Okay, great. You can feel free to join us at the table here. Just to give you the info, I'm going to give a brief presentation and then we'll let you speak.
Okay, awesome. Morning, Chair.
Absolutely.
Great. All right, so I'll get started. This is a proposal for a large residential care facility. The applicant has already established a small residential care facility at this location, and so they're at this time proposing to expand. So the property is located in a two-family residential district. Sorry for the typo there. It actually states multifamily. That's incorrect. I also attached a snippet of our zoning map where you can see the existing residential care facilities in the area. You could also see that this property is located within 1,000 feet of two existing facilities. And so the reason this is coming before you is because whenever there's a proposal for a large state licensed residential care facility, which is any of these state licensed facilities that has between 6 or 16 occupants. Whenever these come forward, they have to get your approval. And so the criteria that you're looking at is this property within 1,000 feet of existing residential facilities? Is anything on the exterior of the home being changed? Basically, is the home still in context of the residential character of the neighborhood? And lastly, if the applicant meets all applicable yard parking and signage requirements. At this time, the applicant's not proposing any signage. I also attached a few just context photos up and down the street. You can see up and down Parkwood, very residential context, neighborhood context here. A lot of single family, 2-family, 3-family homes. So just to wrap it up, I do want to mention, rehashing your conditional use requirements, the three are if the facility is not located within 1,000 feet of another residential facility, if the exterior is compatible with the neighborhood, and if they meet all applicable yard parking and sign regulations. I will let you know we have processed non-conformance letter to get the applicant scheduled with the Board of Zoning Appeals because they are in a 2-family district. And so these are first allowed in multifamily districts. They're also within 1,000 feet of 2 existing facilities. We also have the applicant's presentation attached. Lastly, I'll note the councilman is supportive of this expansion. Thank you.
Thank you, Xavier. Ms. White, before we hear from you, I'm just going to swear you in. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth for this matter now in hearing under penalty of perjury? Oh, you're so formal. Under the penalty of perjury. Yes, I do. Thank you so much.
So you could use this to advance. If you'd like, I could just advance for you if you want, but you can click that.
All right. I'll do my best. Good. All right. I actually prepared something to read, so I won't be verbatim reading off the slides. So good morning. Hi, my name is Farron White, and I am an operator of Just Like Family Healthcare Services. I am here requesting approval to operate a state-compliant residential supportive living home at 1127 Parkwood Drive for a maximum of 8 residents. The home will serve adults ages of 45 and older who need a stable, supervised, home-like environment due to mental health and daily living support needs. This is not a detox center, treatment center, correctional facility, or probation-based placement. We will not provide on-site medication, treatment, counseling, or clinical rehabilitation services. Our goal is to provide safe housing structure, supervision, meals, medication reminders for, for self-administrated medications, life skill supports, and connection to community resources. As you can see, the home is pretty well kept. I did obtain signatures from the adjacent properties to get their approval, and they did sign off on that as well. I have been licensed for over a year, and I've never had any incidents as far as, like police being called or anything like that. Again, I do heavy screening for my individuals that I place in this home. I have been blessed enough to have experience in this industry before COVID happened. Unfortunately, it did dissolve my business, and I started back up again. So I kind of know who to take and who not to take. In the beginning, you're kind of, pressed to get whoever you can to make up for the money that you invested, but longevity, it doesn't last. So this is an 8-bed facility. So we do have 6 bedrooms. I want to say 2 out of the 6 bedrooms are dual. So there is 2 twin beds. And then the other beds are single beds with either a king size bed or a queen. As far as the supervision goes, our ratio is typically 1 to 8 residents, and we do a split shift. These individuals are on their medication. That is what we are here for. I am also a licensed nurse as well. So, I do have a background with that as well, as far as therapeutic communication, and the people that I'm bringing in also have a medical background. So yeah, we're just trying to do our best to get these people integrated into the community. And I do have this space. As far as me, someone asked me like, well, why don't you just get another one? I really don't want another one. I just want to, make this my baby and just, provide my attention fully to this because, multitasking is not my thing. So I just want to, I would love to be able to have the opportunity to expand. So again, I've already been approved by the city of Cleveland for the 5 occupants, which you all allow, and anything beyond that, I have to come before you all to see if there's a way that I can seek approval for more. And that's what I'm doing today. So I have also provided in this PowerPoint, and I also have it printed with me today, the city council support from Kevin Conwell. He is the councilman of my ward. And I also have State Representative Terrence Upchurch, who also second that as well. And I also have the FAMCO's Foundation, Mr. Hawthorne. He also gave an approval. And I also have signatures from my community to approve. And then this is just some photos of what happened during my last hearing and how that went, just so you guys can see. It is already filed with you all. And these are my letters of recommendations from the state and Kevin Conswell's email to the Board of Appeals. Some signatures and some house rules. So house rules, we do not allow drugs and alcohol use in the home under no circumstances. This is also a sober living environment, heavily enforced. We also have doors are locked at 11:30 p.m. Sundays through Thursday and 12 a.m. on Fridays. The reason is because at the end of the day, these individuals are still adults, and I like to allow them to be integrated in the community. A lot of them have jobs, which, that's what we do. We want you to work and make a living for yourself and to integrate. I don't want you to be here forever. I want you to get on your feet, get on your medication, know what it's like to manage your money, and get out there and see if you can do it on your own. As far as how many exits there are in the home, we have 2 exits. We also have a fire inspection on file recently from the city of Cleveland that came out and gave an approval for that as well. But thank you all for your consideration, and I hope that I made an impact today.
So much for your presentation.
Thank you.
We will now take comments from the public. We'll hear first from those that are proponents, those in the audience or online that may be in favor of this change. Do we have anyone raising their hand online or anyone present in the room today? Hearing none, we will now hear from those that are opposed to this zoning change. Anyone present in the room today? Online? You okay? You good? Okay. Hearing none, we will close the public comment portion and open up the floor to commission members for comments or questions.
I just have one. So, thank you. You have 5 today. Just for clarification, are we licensed? Are you intending to do up to 16, or is it just the next step is 6 to 16? And well, so okay, thank you. How many people do you anticipate beyond 5? 8 total.
Yes.
You have 2 garbage cans. Is that enough?
I actually have 4.
You have 4.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Saw the picture. I was like, that doesn't seem like enough garbage cans. All right.
Through the chair, I'll add on to that. Whenever an applicant comes in proposing anything over 5 occupants, it has to come before this body. Anything over 16 is actually categorized to be first allowed in an institutional research district.
Commission members, any other comments or questions?
I do have one question to the applicant, Madam Chair. Do you plan on increasing from 8? The reason why I ask that is, if it can give you some flexibility as opposed to having to come back later, if you increase, that way you sort of circumvent that process all over again.
The reason I do not intend on increasing past 8 is because the state also has their own parameters. So there is, if you go over 8, then you have to get hardwired fire extinguishers installed, and you also have to get fire escapes installed from anything up before the first level to make it a what's the word they use, like a actual facility. Like it's not considered residential anymore, even if it's in a home. So 8 is my max.
Well, Madam Chair, having heard that, I'd like to make a motion to approve this conditional use permit with the caveat that the applicant pursue zoning requirements to allow them to be in a 2-family district as opposed to a multifamily district, and that they are within 2 other residential facilities within 1,000 feet. I believe that's it.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Madam Chair, I second the motion.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
Slife,
Yes.
Whitfield.
Yes.
Motion carries. Good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Chair.
you.
I appreciate the opportunity.
You're so welcome.
I might just miss the on stage.
Oh, no, you're good to go.
They have stayed up
You're
there.
welcome to hang out with us. I mean, we'll be here till about 9 o'clock.
So you can stay and help the others.
We generally go to like 9 p.m., so you're welcome to stay. All right, we are heading into design review. First up is Near West Design Review. We have PRJ 26 unnumbered HBR, the MCC plan. This is for the Tremont neighborhood, and we should have a few representatives, or maybe one. Elizabeth, welcome. Thank you for being here today.
Madam Chair, just for clarification, I'm not that savvy with acronyms. Could you define what HBR and MCC plan mean? Someone?
Marka.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's the name of the east-west streets in this portion of Tremont. So it's Holmdel, Buer, Rowley, Mentor, Castle, Clark.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
The clicker does have a slight delay, so just give it a moment to advance, but welcome and thank you for being here today. Is there anyone else online joining you from your team?
There's maybe a couple online. I think I saw Allison pop in. Yeah, Julie.
Okay,
So yeah.
feel free to proceed.
So good morning, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Ellis. I am a senior urban designer at Kent State's Cleveland Urban Design Collaborative, and I am representing Tremont West Development Corporation. They are the ones who put forth this conceptual plan for the neighborhood. So before I start, I just want to acknowledge, oh, here we go. There is a lag. I want to acknowledge that this is a conceptual plan, really meant to guide improvements and development in the area. And so if approved today, this is in no way makes this plan law. However, it does create agency for Tremont West Development as well as the community members that have bought into this plan to just kind of continue on developments in the area that they want to see improvements for the area. So again, so this is kind of the neighborhood plan orienting ourselves from a topographical standpoint. If you can imagine when you're standing, so it's the HBR-MCC, again, those refer to the street names. We are in the southeast portion of Tremont neighborhood, but it's cut off from what we traditionally refer to as Tremont. So it has 490 to the north of the neighborhood, as well as I-71 to the west of the neighborhood. And it kind of sits over, topographically, it sits up on a hill. And so if you're standing on Clark Avenue, you can actually have a really great view of the industrial valley as well as downtown Cleveland. So this neighborhood is positioned really nicely within the context of Cleveland. Also want to just acknowledge some of the participants that we had during this planning process, and acknowledge again Tremont West for their commitment to the HBR-MCC neighborhood as a part of Tremont. But then also we had Councilman Davis as well as Councilwoman Santana along this process with us. And so they were really walking us through this process, as well as the city planner, Brittany, was a really great asset to this planning process as we went through. And then acknowledging too that during the planning process, and you'll see the timeline in a bit, there's we were at a lot of different locations setting up different engagement events, as well as different restaurants that kind of fed us along the way while we had workshops. So to set the stage and step back a little bit away from the planning process, the Cleveland Urban Design Collaborative was at the time last year, 2 years ago, we started the decarbonization process with the NOACA, as well as the city of Cleveland's their climate action plan. And so when Tremont West approached us with, they wanted to do this HBR-MCC neighborhood, we were at the time thinking about the neighborhood in terms of decarbonization and climate change actions that could be made. And so because this neighborhood is positioned with adjacency to Cleveland Cliffs, we thought that this was a perfect neighborhood to really understand what are some actions that we could take to climate action, net zero policies. And so a lot of that work really informed then what became the planning process when we started August of last year. So it was a 10-month process that really kicked us off into, and you'll see all the engagements on the screen, as well as the different types of engagement that we were doing with community, everything from walking the neighborhood, talking to neighbors on the street. Tremont West was also flyering every time we had a community meeting to make sure that there was an awareness of there's an opportunity to make some improvements in the neighborhood, and what do you want to see for this neighborhood specifically. And we also did business pop-ups throughout the planning process. So we stopped at 3 different businesses. There's Terrapin, Rally Inn, and Clark Bar, if you're familiar with them. And we talked to the business owners as well as the people kind of visiting and the regulars of those businesses. So the types of things that we were interested in hearing from neighborhood residents and stakeholders were things like, how do you travel within Tremont? So even though this neighborhood is really positioned well to be very walkable, there's not a lot of neighborhood anchors or neighborhood assets that people do walk to. They tend to kind of drive through. And also we started to hear then that people feel safer kind of driving in their car versus walking, because West 14th and Clark Avenue get pretty busy with traffic. We also talked to neighborhood residents. There's currently some development pressures coming down West 14th from what we traditionally called Tremont down West 14th into this portion of the neighborhood. And so we were interested in hearing what are the types of characteristics of housing and housing typologies that people really want to see in the neighborhood. It was less so about, we want everything to, and we'll get into this a little bit, but it was less that we want everything to look the same. Like they were interested in maybe some modern faces to houses, but it was more about like how far back the front porch was, where is the garage in relationship to the street, is on top of it, or does it sit behind the building? So residents were more interested in seeing those kinds of conversations and how people kind of really interact with their neighbors. We also talked to residents about the types of commercial activity they would like to see, like the kinds of just businesses and assets they'd like to see in the neighborhood, as well as we had some conversations about density as well within the neighborhood. And then in addition to all of the engagement that we did, we of course, as a research institute at Cleveland Urban Design Collaborative, we're really interested in what are the existing conditions, what makes the neighborhood, from everything from zoning to tree canopy, how you feel walking through the neighborhood, to even how you get around the neighborhood and traffic patterns. And so we used all of that information and we compiled it into these 4 guiding principles that we use throughout the planning process to make our recommendations. So the guiding themes that we saw and the reoccurring themes were really 1, traffic and safety. How do people get around connections wise? 2 was housing and commercial, everything from new development to existing development and how to retrofit it. 3, green space and open space. And then finally, just branding and wayfinding in the neighborhood. How do people navigate throughout this space? So in addition to the planning document that we compiled for Tremont West Development Corporation, we also compiled this implementation matrix. And this is a editable Excel spreadsheet that Tremont West can then, it takes all of the strategies, kind of lays it out. This is just a snapshot of what that looks like. So it lays it out of, is that strategy a quick win or a big bet? How much money is associated with that? Just a rough estimate, approximate time frame that would take to complete. And then also identified who are the lead agencies and partner agencies to kind of get those strategies moving forward, as well as potential funding sources. And so because this is an editable document, again, Tremont West is able to, every year when they look at the years ahead, they can kind of prioritize what do they want to do in this particular year. Also looking at those funding sources, because we know funding shifts every year. You know, is there an opportunity to fund something this year versus maybe we wait and fund something in the next year? The other thing I'll say about this process too is when we identified lead agencies and partner agencies, we made sure to have conversations with those partners to make sure that they were on board with, is this a strategy that makes sense? So everybody from different city departments, county departments, to even like partners like the metro parks, we wanted to make sure we're on board for these strategies. And then I'm not going to go through all of our recommendations because there's quite a few, but just a couple that stand out. So first, we heard, and again, everything is organized in the fashion of what we heard and what we're doing to address it and what the strategy is. So first, streets are unsafe, particularly West 14th and Clark Avenue. And so each strategy also lays out, again, like there's a quick win opportunity, like what are some things, low hanging fruit to get the ball started. So in this instance of West 14th and Clark Avenue, it's about doing traffic counts to really justify street calming. And then the big bet is what you see on the screen. This is West 14th. When you start to implement things like bike lane delineators, painting the bike lanes, making vegetated bump outs to create this more walkable environment. And then also embedding some things that are already happening from a city level. These are some things called out in the Cleveland Moves plan that the city is actively working on. And so how do we integrate what are those action items? We also heard that the towpath connector under Quigley is dark and that people don't really get to the steel yards that often if they're walking or riding their bike. And so again, a quick win would be to just light that tunnel, but then a big bet would be to provide landscaping to make those entrances into the tunnel more appealing so that people want to go. Again, wayfinding down there so that people don't feel like it's such a hurdle to get down to the steel yards. We also heard that people want to really age in place. And so we had really great conversations about senior housing as well as intergenerational housing opportunities. We see this really going in or between Holden and Quigley Avenue. There's some vacant land, but we see this more happening towards the busy corridor, so more towards the West 14th side. We also heard, and this was felt during the planning process, that there's really no place for residents to gather. Right now, their community block clubs meet at their local Angelica Pozzo's artist studio because there's just really no public space to gather. And so when we're thinking about new development in the neighborhood, are there opportunities to work with developments and say we really want to carve out of community space? So this is just an example over on the east side with Third Spaces reading room where they have both a library as well as community rentable spaces to use. And then new housing, they really want it to match the existing characteristics, existing typologies within the neighborhoods. It's not that they want to duplicate everything that's happening, but it's more of just acknowledging that they want to create a walkable, friendly space. And so not having a garage right on top of a sidewalk, making sure that there's some green space incorporated, just more room for neighbors to really get to know each other and talk to each other. And then they want more green spaces and community spaces embedded within the neighborhood. So the neighborhood is actually right adjacent to Clark Field. But again, because of the topography, the neighborhood really feels like it's really difficult to get down into Clark Field. And so in addition to wayfinding of, yes, Clark Field is right here, they'd also like to see some maybe right-sized green space applications with some street trees or shade trees and shade structures, as well as maybe like a little library or just places to gather and sit and talk with each other, community gardens. And then finally, this was really an emerging thing throughout the neighborhood because this portion of Tremont doesn't necessarily feel like it's embedded within Tremont. How do we brand this and make sure that the assets that the neighborhood does have are really called to attention with some really good wayfinding, whether it's something like a Destination Cleveland sign or even things like a community bulletin board where community members can kind of post what's happening near and around where they live. And that's, oops, all I have.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Mark, I just have a clarifying question. When Elizabeth started their presentation, they noted that this was conceptual. Procedurally, can you just help us understand, because it says final on here, unless I misheard?
No, that is specific.
You're looking for conceptual? What's it?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, typically unless they're still editing, we would do a final approval.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that is what we're looking for.
Yeah, I know that when you went to the local committee, you were just that's advisory, so they don't vote on it. But when it comes here, we typically would vote. So if they're complete, they're not doing any other edits to it, then this should be a final approval.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that. Thank you. Please, commission members.
Madam Chair, I move a motion. I'm sorry, excuse me.
Before you, fellow commission member, I wanted to make a comment and provide some clarity, or at least address what I think is kind of ambiguous. Last session, I believe we heard the Slavic Village master plan. It's a different plan, right? And today, I consider this more like pattern language and guidelines, which that doesn't say that it's a master plan or neighborhood plan. So I guess my question is, and my confusion is, what kind of guidance are we giving the neighborhoods in terms of what they create and what category it might fall into, so we understand what we're approving? That's it. Again, I'm not against what's happening here. I think there's some good things here that could fall in to other master plans and vice versa. So I just wanted anybody to opine on that. Thank you.
Yeah, so as you know, we're in the process of putting together guidelines for neighborhood plans. We have not completed that, but part of it is also categorizing the different types of plans. So we have not shared that with the organizations yet, just because it hasn't been complete. As soon as we finish it, we will adopt it and distribute it to the development corporations.
Thanks, Director. I figured that I wanted that to go on the record, because I think it's important, how we classify and categorize and the guidance we give. What?
Oh, I just had a small comment of appreciation. I like how with the recommendations you all note like a quick win and a big bet, right? And I'm sure there's a lot in between, obviously, that range. And so I think it just sets realistic expectations, right? Because not everything can happen immediately. And I think sometimes it can come across as like false promises to community, right? They're like, this is what I said, but I'm not seeing it. And, being clear about like, yes, we want this. However, there's a couple of zeros after that one that may require that to come to fruition. So I just think from a transparency standpoint, that's really helpful to communicate to the residents. So thank you for that.
To piggyback on Madam Chair.
Make me the director.
I'm sorry, you said January. I can have a couple oops here. No, but seriously, what I like about this plan, what other plans don't attempt to do, it seems feasible and implementable. Because you're tying it to funding, you're tying it to partners and stakeholders, and then involving those guys in that conversation, as opposed to being very aspirational, setting a plan on the shelf and walking away and thinking you've done your job. So I think that's what I really like about this plan versus other plans that I've seen.
My comment would be, to your point, Mr. Fluker, we talk about community engagement. If we sit down and talk with a few people, we've had an engagement. What does it mean? What are the outcomes? So the work that you've presented exemplify a good, detailed conversation with your community. You've had some back and forth. You've come out with something that is substantial and can be implemented. Everybody buys in. Everybody won't buy in completely, but you've had the conversation. Everybody's had some say in this. That's what I like about this project. I like the work that you've done. And that having been said, Madam Chair, I will motion for approval of this plan.
Motion. Second.
We actually have Julie raising her hand online if we want to give her a chance to speak before.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Julia from Tremont.
Hi, I apologize. I don't want to delay the proceedings. My name is Julie Dahlhausen. I'm the Executive Director of Tremont West. I just wanted to quickly thank the body for your consideration today, and especially thank you to CUDC for their immense help, not even the last few months, the last couple of years. To this conversation, I just want to quickly add that at Tremont West, we take community engagement incredibly seriously. We have 7 to 10 active block clubs that meet on a monthly basis that we staff and we provide technical support. So this plan in particular, HBR-MCC, is the south side of Tremont. People don't always consider it when they think of our neighborhood. And there are oftentimes older, longer term, and sometimes lower income residents in this part of the neighborhood that feel forgotten. So it's very much the intention that this document is a living document and that it serves as a guide for Tremont West's work hand in hand with our residents in the years going forward. Just wanted to quickly provide my thanks.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
Slife,
Yes.
and Whitfield.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
the presentation.
Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jack.
All right, shifting gears over to Central East Design Review. Our next item is EC 2026-013. This is Building E expansion at 9105 Cedar Avenue. Do we have Mr. Ed Payne present? And your name, sir?
Nick Broken.
Thank you. Thank you both for being here. I think you have the clicker. Okay, awesome. Feel free to proceed.
Madam Chair, before you begin, I believe this title's ominous, Building E Expansion.
Yeah, I'm
Like, I
excited.
know who it's for, but I'm just saying.
It's a little obscure.
You want to fix that?
Good morning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just to introduce, do we need to be sworn in or anything?
Oh, yes. Hi, good morning. It's a wacky Friday.
At least it's not January, so.
At least it's not January. It would be really scary if it was January with it being almost 80 degrees. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you under perjury or a penalty?
I do.
Thank you so much.
Just to start off, and to introduce myself, my name's Dave Burlekamp. I'm an architect and a interim director of our healthcare design studio at the Cleveland Clinic, along with Ed Payne from Hasenstaub Architects. We're looking forward to presenting this project to you. This is our E expansion, as noted. We're here for conceptual review today. This is the E building on our campus, houses our emergency department and many of our ORs. It's a building that dates to the mid 90s and really is beyond capacity at this point. It's seeing with a national trend large increase in volumes to our ED. So we're really, this project looks to expand the capacity for patients of some of our most acute patients. We have been before the design review, the Central East Design Review, and received some great feedback from them. And prior to that, we were able to have an initial engagement with some community members and are looking, as we develop the design of this project, to have more interactions and listening sessions with the community. And I think with that, I'll turn it over to Ed to walk through some of the details.
Good morning, everyone. Hope we're all doing well. We certainly welcome the opportunity to present this exciting project to the Commission. Today's presentation will be conceptual in nature. It's intended to really convey the overall scope and general intent of the project and focus on the key program elements of the project. We anticipate additional commentary from this board that as we continue through the design process with follow-up design review presentations, and we look to further developing the design as we move forward. But again, today's presentation material is largely conceptual, since we are at the very early stages of design. Some key points, and I will not get into all of the detail indicated in the project summary we included, but we are tracking towards a 128,000 square foot addition. The new addition will improve overall capacity as well as functionality. We are adding 35 new emergency department treatment spaces on the first floor. On the second floor, surgical services, the capabilities there will be expanded as well with the addition of 11 new waiting rooms. 2 of those rooms will be dedicated to direct support of emergency services on the first floor. I'll start the overview by zooming out a little bit just to give some context. And I think we might be operating on a slightly outdated slide here, but the E building resides on the south edge of Cleveland Clinic's main campus. You can see it indicated there with the star. It fronts on Cedar Avenue, situated between 90th and 93rd Street, just for a little context. It has connectivity to the main hospital complex to the north. Zooming in a little bit on the main campus here. You'll see the E building circled there in red, but it does have connectivity to the main hospital complex to the north and to the lab complex on the main campus to the east by second level pedestrian bridges. I think it's important to note we are not reorienting any main points of access for either patients visiting the E building or for ambulance traffic to the site. Patients will continue to approach the E building from Cedar Avenue, while ambulance traffic will continue to enter the site from the north along Carnegie. Overall, the expansion is a pretty straightforward expansion directly south of the existing E building. It's going to occupy a portion of the existing parking area directly south of E. This is going to provide an opportunity to enhance the front door of the E building and also give increased prominence along Cedar Avenue for the facility. The existing footprint's approximately 67,000 square feet. We'll be increasing that by about half, approximately half, which will add an additional 38,000 square feet plus or minus on each level, each of 3 levels. Zooming in a little bit with more detail on the site, as I mentioned, walk-in patient vehicle access will not be majorly changed. There is a slight nuance to this, and we feel an improvement to the way patient vehicle traffic is accessing the site. Currently, they are accessing the ED along 90th Street off of Cedar Avenue through a site entry at a location that requires them to basically do a U-turn in front of the building to orient the passenger side of vehicles when they're dropping off. With the new site, they'll be entering at 93rd Street, which is an existing intersection on the right-hand side, on the lower right-hand side of the plan you see here. 93rd Street extends off the page, but that is currently an existing traffic-controlled intersection that will be the new point of access for self-present patients to the site. Ambulance traffic really is unchanged in terms of how it enters the site. We're coming in between the E building and the L building from Carnegie Avenue at the right-hand side of the site there. Currently, ambulance traffic comes in. It is required to do a 3-point turnaround due to old 93rd Street being blocked off at Cedar Avenue. So ambulance traffic comes in, does a 3-point turnaround, and backs into covered spaces to offload emergent patients from ambulance squads. The new plans call for a new EMS drop-off canopy you see in yellow along the east side of the building there. This will allow for up to 6 squads stacking. It will also facilitate pull-through traffic of ambulances. Ambulances will continue to proceed south along 93rd, Old 93rd, and exit the site along Cedar Avenue instead of circling back to Carnegie Avenue with this new flow of traffic. From a tree preservation perspective, the project aims to be a net positive. We see there being approximately 12 existing plantings that are going to be affected by the expansion. We'll be looking to provide back at least 16 new plantings, new trees. And we'll achieve this by providing larger species along the lawn areas immediately adjacent to the next door L building, in providing smaller or ornamental species closer to the E building and in some of those curb areas provided in the parking and drop-off zones south of the expansion. First floor of the addition is essentially an expansion of the existing emergency department. It will include new waiting and reception areas, new triage, additional general treatment spaces, as well as new trauma treatment spaces. On the second floor, essentially extending surgical services as well, allowing for 11 new operating rooms with transplant, vascular, and trauma subspecialties included in those 11. Existing PACU space currently shown in yellow up in the upper right-hand corner of the existing plan will be transitioned and renovated to a new inpatient observation unit with new PACU space supporting the surgery department being created in a new addition shown in purple there in the lower right-hand corner. On the third floor, much like the existing building, the third floor, it will be largely dedicated to mechanical and building support space. We do have some space reserved for clinical staff support, as well as some administrative function, which occupies the perimeter of the new addition. For some context, we have a view here of the south face of the existing building. This is also the main entry for self-present patients. The new addition will pretty much extend along the entire length of this facade and completely cover this facade. We'll be creating a new drop-off area and main entry directly south of this location. View of the same building elevation from a different angle. This is from the 90th and Cedar Avenue intersections. You'll see in the foreground there, the vehicle traffic enters along the left-hand side of the plan there. Also the left-hand side of the building does a U-turn at the opposite end of the parking lot to, again, reorient the passenger side of vehicles to the drop-off area. We think we're going to be improving this with the new site circulation being proposed. This is a conceptual sketch view from the same vantage point as the previous slide, and it is a preliminary massing study, but it illustrates our intent to overall align the existing building massing with the new additions massing. Still developing and evaluating materiality options, but we will have more detailed reviews in the forthcoming submissions for schematic design and final review. Also shown here, you'll see we have a partial fourth level mechanical penthouse being planned for the addition. Cross-sectionally, the floor lines along with department functions will quite literally be extended and aligned with a key difference being that the new addition will not have a basement. The existing building does have a basement. So we're 3 levels above grade plus the half-story penthouse. But it's important to note we're not extending the building height above. I'm sorry, we're looking at the wrong slide. There we go. There's our cross-section. But yes, this illustrates that the new addition is essentially not going to extend above the existing building height. You see Carnegie Avenue at the right-hand side with the existing pedestrian bridge connecting back to the main hospital. On the left-hand side, you're seeing the drop-off canopy for the self-present patients. This is an exterior elevation view from the same direction as the cross-section. You see the existing building in the light brown orangish tone on the right, the new trauma ambulance canopy in the foreground of that building. This is the east elevation, and the west elevation in a similar manner will be largely a solid expression. We are allowing for some glazing opportunities along the eye level on the lower level, kind of separating the first level volume and the second and third story volumes, as well as a vertical glazing expression at the transition from new to existing. And on the south, more prominent elevation, I think there's a slide missing out of this presentation, but for the south elevation, it will largely be a clear glazing expression on the upper floors, more of the same vocabulary as seen on the east and west elevations, extending around on the south elevation as well. But we look to really kind of enhance the presence of that major elevation along Cedar Avenue with the south elevation. We'll be developing those in the forthcoming submissions.
And I think just to add, one of the comments that we did receive from design review was making the observation and comment the darker glazing and the darker metal panel on the existing building isn't as welcoming as some of our other buildings. So we are looking to go in a different direction from a material standpoint from what's currently on the building right now. Consistency, yeah.
Thank you for that. Commission members, comments?
Yeah, I walk through the clinic, well, not through, but around, because I walk every day. I live down the street, as you guys know. Made you fully aware of that. And I know, well, last time I was in the emergency room, I'm in the emergency room, I tend to pace. And then I find myself outside because I don't want to disturb folks. If I want to take a phone call. I know this is conceptual, but as you guys start looking at this, it would be nice to see if you can create like a sort of a respite or sort of a more suitable area outside for people who are might be grieving, who are, you know, in some sort of trauma because of why they're there, to go outside the building and sort of walk around and kind of collect themselves. You know, it's, you know, maybe it could be a different type of landscaping and not such the formal landscaping that you guys put outside the other, but it's more like a healing garden or something approach. Again, you know, you don't have a lot of sight. I recognize that, but if you could create some sort of consideration to that. And then another thing is, as I look at your campus, what I find interesting, there are some opportunities on a larger scale to sort of deal with some of those interstitial spaces between your facilities to allow pedestrian paths to sort of get to the next block or to the next parking lot or to the next garage, as opposed to taking a bridge. Again, if you start thinking about how pedestrians move, and as you're expanding and updating your footprint, I think that would go a long way.
And I'll just add too, I know that Mr. Sargent isn't here today, but I know he's made some really great comments and feedback on other projects. We are hoping to carry some of the landscape and site development that we've done with the Innovation District a little further down Cedar Avenue, some of that language down to this end as well. We found it to be successful both from a landscape perspective, but also just having some opportunities for seating, outdoor seating, things like that. So,
you know, it is south facing, so you obviously it's tough because, you know, you need some sort of cover if in fact you're going to be hanging out on that side of the facility. So thank you, I appreciate that.
To the applicant, Evelyn, can you go back to the slide where it has the view of all the buildings on campus? And I think this is just really building upon Vice Chair's comment. I think, you know, when I see this, I have a general sense of what is happening in this part of the city, but I think while a patient or a family member may have a specific destination, I think just recognizing the campus as a whole, right? And so even if I am only going to this site or this center, that doesn't mean I may not engage with other departments or other buildings. And so just better understanding, again, reiterating Vice Chair Fluker's comments, the connectivity and what's happening in the campus at large, not just for the specific building that perhaps is like the first entry point that a patient or a loved one may be entering. But again, it's hard to tell or I guess observe what that connectivity is, just seeing it from this standpoint. I know there's other visuals, but I think that's helpful as you all think about coming back and just helping us see the connective nodes in between the different buildings.
You know, I walk around 6:30, 6:15, 6:30 in the morning, and you know, the sun's rising, and as the shift change, you know, there's a lot of shift changing. There's a lot of pedestrians out. You know, there's a lot of vehicle traffic, so it's really interesting to observe those patterns and what people do or what they don't do because of what's not available. I just find it very interesting because you've created this organism, and it does live outside the four walls of each building. So that's what I'm referring to.
appreciate that.
Commission members, other comments or questions? And just a reminder, this is conceptual, and we do have a few comments from design review.
I'll say, and I appreciate this is conceptual and this is really not commentary on the design. I don't see challenges with the design, but I'll just share that I'm uncomfortable advancing something that is clearly moving towards this level 1 designation when the question about the level 1 designation and the need for it is still outstanding. I know there's even been some involvement from our state delegation questioning the ability for the market to have 3 level 1 trauma centers. There's been requests for a regional analysis. I think there's been a lot of justification from the clinic as to why it works well internally for the clinic, but that doesn't speak necessarily to the regional scope and our ability to basically sustain 3 level 1 trauma centers in a mid-sized metropolitan region. So since those things are outstanding, I just worry that we're putting the cart before the horse, and I don't want to end up in a situation where I was commenting, you know, narrowly on design, which I don't really have any issues with the design, and sort of creating a circumstance where those analyses are we're putting our thumbs on the scale as those analyses are being encouraged. So I just want to share that for the record.
Thank you, Councilman.
Definitely above my pay grade, Councilman. We've heard the talk, obviously, and I'm not. I've always take my lens. I very seldom talk about the design. I'm always concerned about how it impacts people, and that's really what we're talking about. You're in the business of people. There's no people. There's no hospital. And the community is people. And not just at where it stops at the clinic. And I understand, Councilman, I agree. I don't, this is conceptual, obviously, right? They got to come back. Maybe things will change, maybe not. I don't know. Very good point, sir.
And if I could add this, the expansion of these services goes beyond just trauma as well. So this would be expansion of the emergency department, regardless of the trauma component of this, as well as the operating rooms too.
Yeah, I'll add that surgery is also a large portion of the program. So it's not just a level 1 trauma, but it is certainly anticipated.
Now I know what PACU means with the acronym. I Googled it. Anyway, I'm not a big acronym person, and you can say it. But anyhow, I'd like to make a motion with a couple caveats. The first of which is taking into consideration the comments we made about connectivity and pedestrian experience throughout the campus as you begin to expand and improve your facilities. The second is, understanding what Councilman Slife has brought up. I think it's very important that your institution and others begin to have that dialogue so that we're not causing a sort of a disruption or an imbalance, as it were, or putting folks out of business. Again, that's not what I specialize in, but I think there should be some consideration as you guys navigate this. And lastly, more importantly, when you come back for I guess schematic, if you could address those items in detail for us, that'd be great. Thank you.
Vice Chair, can we add about the facade, please?
The glazing?
Correct.
Okay. That you also, the third caveat is that you also consider creating a more inviting environment based on fenestration and glazing on said expansion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Madam Chair, I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Yes.
Fluker,
Yes.
Slife, Whitfield.
Yes.
Motion
Motion
carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Look
Thank
forward
you.
to seeing you next time. Remaining in Central East Design Review, our next item is EC 2026-020. This is 6515 Carnegie Avenue Demolition, and we have a few folks present. Let's make sure everybody has a mic and that the mics are green. I'll just do a swearing in, and then if you each can just state your name for the record, that would be great. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth for this matter now in hearing under penalty of perjury?
I do.
And just your names for the record.
Richard Barga.
Thank you.
Brandon Klein.
Yeah.
Sarah Jacks.
Sarah.
Sarah Jacks.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you.
Jacob Weatherill.
Thank you.
I am on the board of the Sites Fund. I'm going to abstain. I don't think I need to recuse and leave the room, but just for the record, yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, I was getting everybody's names down. All right. You all should, someone had the clicker. Okay. Brennan, right?
Brandon, yep.
Brandon or Brennan?
Brandon.
Brandon, excuse me. Giving you a whole new name.
No worries.
And then just a reminder that there is a slight delay.
So we're here to discuss what
we believe is a very exciting opportunity and one of the first sites that are part of the Cleveland Site Readiness Group's midline project. This site was awarded a state brownfield remediation grant. The purpose in the submission of this project would be to utilize those funds to create a shovel-ready, pad-ready site for one of the larger sites that are available, a part of that midline project. I want to convey that we're here for the demolition of the existing facilities that are on a portion of the site. We don't have a user yet for this. We have a lot of, the group and organization has a lot of traction. There's been a lot of inquiries. We hope to have that user to the table here very soon, as this site has been heavily discussed because of its size and ability to accommodate the needs and what that is. And in the presentation here in a second, we'll give a little bit of a summary of that midline project as well. But it is a 10.3 acre site. The site was formerly vacated. Portion of East 65th was vacated. The street still exists there. It is gated via Pierre's Ice Cream to the north, and then to the south, the Carnegie. The street is still there, evident. Part of this would be to relocate all the utilities around the site, remove the street, remove the infrastructure, and prep this, I'll call it grade the site for positive drainage flow for now, while we work towards bringing that first industrial user a part of that midline project. A part of the demolition, we did submit a narrative. I won't go into all the detail or reread the narrative that basically encompasses and addresses the 7 topics to allow for and push for the demolition ability of the existing structures. But general purpose, the intent of the midline project is to create an unencumbered ability to attract new businesses, new industry, new jobs, and ensure that we can create sites that don't have limitations, that can be responsibly designed and allow for that new business to come in and be able to compete with the suburbs and other greenfield sites that may be available, but be able to get these businesses and headquarters and manufacturers into the root and nucleus of the city. Just to quickly, before we get into the midline, just to give a quick summary of those action points. All of the structures have been a collection of structures. They've been added to, modified, adapted. There's been, I'll call it, former alleys and breezeways that have been not to code compliant, roofed over with wood frame trusses and metal shed roof, basically to connect buildings through the years. The buildings themselves have multiple floor elevations. There's been numerous ramps cut in. Ceiling heights are very extreme from a very low clearance height. There's load bearing walls that create compartmentalization and other elements. A lot of the rooms have raised column pads, and the elements have been modified so much that really none of the historic fabric of the original uses are relevant, other than just, I'll call it, the superstructure. We did, while we were working with design review, they had tabled us for 1 week to ask us to do a more detailed historic review and survey of the building. At that time, we contracted LDA architects. Michael Sandberg sits on the Cleveland Landmarks Board, and he did a site visit and a report that we also submitted to the commission with that. The summary of those reports, all 3 of the main buildings were built between 1909 and 1910. They've had various uses. The summary and conclusion of that report basically was that none of these buildings would qualify for historic tax credits. Too much of the existing fabric has been removed. The only item of note is that one building has a terracotta facade. That is a nice terracotta facade. It's in, I'll call it, fair condition. And one of the conditions of the approval, and we agreed to, was to salvage the material and store it on site to be able to repurpose that material and that historic terracotta material into a new structure. There was some minimal discussion about trying to keep a portion of that building, but its interferences with the potential master plan, along with the inefficiencies of that plan, and point blank, the the superstructure itself is just non-significant. The idea was to just salvage the materials and be able to utilize it and repurpose it in that aspect. I'll turn this portion of the presentation over to Richard Barga to be able to talk about the midline project itself. Pardon me, Chair, to the applicant. So this is the old sugar factory. Correct. Okay. All right. Oh, I know. I did a couple of buildings there, so I know it's a piece of crap.
That's a perfect introduction. Good morning, Good morning, everyone. Richard Barga from the Site Readiness for Good Jobs Fund. I'm joined here by my colleague Sarah Jex, who also works at the Site Fund. Last month, we were very excited to announce the Midline Business District and Greenway project. It's the largest, we believe, the largest industrial redevelopment project in the city's history. It is a collection of 350 acres, 200 of which are new that have been assembled by the Site Fund over the last 3 years. The majority of which are brownfields and require significant demolition and contamination remediation. So we are actively pursuing paths to clean up these brownfield sites, the assembly of which is momentous because of the direct adjacency of the sites to one another. And we have been working very closely with a resident-led steering committee to help us think about public trails and public parks that we can keep community members engaged in our discussions on how we will be redesigning these sites. I'm also excited to announce that next month we have been working very closely with city planning staff and a contractor out of Boston called UTEAL to help think about what a new master plan for this district would look like. And we are working to bring that to Planning Commission for review in July. So I think without further ado, I'll let Brandon get back to talking about the 9 different pieces of crap buildings that I mentioned.
So over half the site is already kind of, I'll call it an existing brownfield. It was formerly demolished and partially sodded / graveled. So this will be for temporary condition to be, positively graded to create positive flow and drainage until that whole user comes in. A large portion, I believe there's a laser on this, right? Yeah. Oh, you won't see it, yeah. So a large portion of the work will be to remove the formerly and already vacated East 65th, rework all those utilities, remass grade the entire site, and then demolish all of the miscellaneous structures that are outlined in red. And we'll go into detail here. The building that has a terracotta facade, you can kind of see it's the second storefront in from the east. It's a 2-story structure on that. There's some photos of the existing buildings. Again, it's a plethora of, I'll call it sheds and various buildings and structures, various roof heights. Some are pitched, some are flat, with connections in between. I think some of these photos in the next slide or so, I think this is an abbreviated package, but there were photos that were submitted that showed kind of the wood structure in between, which isn't even a compliant use for the size and building that it was. And again, existing conditions, there's a rail spur that will be partially pulled back to a point where if the new user will require it, it is able to be repurposed and reused and extended, but trying to create as much clearway as for a large opportunity for that building. So again, general site plan would be demolishing of the structures in that kind of peach colored area, removing the hardscape in the kind of shaded whiter area, and then just overall grading and seeding the rest of the site. And then, as mentioned, pulling back the rail spurs to a point where they could be extended and out of the way if needed for future user. And then while we're not here for, I'll call it a master plan on the site, we felt like how could we ever ask for demolition and proceed the work without
the understanding of what is potential here. This plan was really shown for reference and what it's being marketed as. It has the potential to be a 140,000 square foot structure. It has also the ability to expand even further if the corner properties would be acquired. But one of the beauties of this project is it will allow for that greenway and bike path and pedestrian walkway to the far east of the project to connect and kind of spine through this site. And then also the ability for like a nice plaza off of that on that kind of southeastern corner of this project. So again, a really nice large scale manufacturing opportunity for use to attract new user and basically create a really great industrial opportunity for that future use. And again, just the scope of work for the demolition, grading, I think is included in this, rework of utilities. Here's the grading. And then I'm not sure if it doesn't look like the historic report, any slides were there, but happy to answer any questions on any of the information that presented.
Commission members, comments, questions?
Madam Chair, I guess I'm going to coin Councilman Slice's phrase of cart before the horse. I'd love to see what this midline plan, or at least I know what it is, but I don't think we know what it is. And so I understand why and how you're going about it. Get that, but it'd be nice to understand before we start tearing down all these buildings, which are required and needed to sort of stabilize the investment. What is big greenway and midline and how it connects and what it's going to connect, even if it's just a very high level conceptual conversation without giving away the secrets of the divine site readiness fund. So that's all. You know, I'm being somewhat sarcastic because I'd like to know what that is. I think it would be remiss if I didn't mention that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
I think what my colleague is saying, we really want to see the master plan. And you said it's coming.
We hope to preview it next month. Yes.
Okay. Would have been nice to have it this month, but
understandable. There is as we look at each one of these sites, because they are a collection of sites, each one is on a different path. And so depending on funding availability, grants that Site Fund is able to receive, different projects run on different sort of development tracks. I'm very excited. This week we actually were awarded historic tax credits for another project that is in the midline, the 7,000 Central building down the street. And so the connection from American Sugar all the way down to Opportunity Corridor is the goal. If you'd like to throw the render back up.
That's what I'm saying is, you know, I would be ridiculed if I didn't create a plan. I was taught a long time ago, if you don't plan the activity, you become the activity and you lose the narrative.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to be difficult. So what's the hardship if we wait until we see the plan before we approve something like this? I don't understand. I mean, 30 days? You going to turn into a pumpkin?
So I think some of the challenges is, and I know this commission is well aware of timelines and needs. You guys have always understanding of that. But because of the previously vacated street, it was a paper vacation. It was never a true vacation where all those utilities were reworked. There's a considerable amount of high voltage lines and other aspects that need to get rerouted. We all know how expeditiously the utility companies work on those types of relocations. And so a large amount of this is to rework and clear way of those processes that will take a considerable amount of time, you know, about a 6-month period plus the engineering. So I think the intent and the concern, while understand that the demolition of these structures, you know, you want to see what's coming. The reality of it is that the timeline of these utility relocations and that process, we don't want to miss the opportunity of this new users, of these manufacturers that are looking to onshore and, plant roots in Cleveland for these types of uses and the timeline it takes to do that work for it. And again, that was a large reason why we acquired or contracted with a historic preservationist to justify that, these buildings, I understand we don't like to just demo buildings for nothing. They really are a collage of troublesome buildings. And so, this wouldn't be a request or an ask if it was, any buildings of significance. But it's because of the timeline and for that utility rework that we're really asking to get started on.
Madam Chair, to Brandon, you're talking to an architect, practiced for 40 years. I know how long it takes to get utilities to get in the room, no less get approvals to do things. And all I'm simply saying is 30 days is not going to cause that, in my opinion, unless you're not telling me something because you're talking in generalities, it's not going to cause you a hardship. You haven't proved that to me. So I'm not being difficult. I'm just being realistic, people.
We appreciate the comments, and we'll be happy to come back next month with the master plan so that we can lay everything out for you so that you can see the vision of the midline and how everything connects. We have significant development opportunities at this site. Nobody that has signed a lease that is ready to break ground tomorrow, but before we can have a clear site that is ready to build on, for companies to see the vision, they have to understand that these buildings have to get cleared. And to have a 10-acre site on the premier corner of how the midline connects with...
I'm going to make it simple for you, Madam Chair, to the applicant. Yes or no? Is it a hardship? Yes or no? It's a very simple question to wait 30 days.
We postpone 30 days.
The reason it's a challenge question, right? You take a normal greenfield site, you take a site in City of Cleveland that doesn't have these obstructions, you can start that process immediately. We can go through design review, you can go through planning, you can go through these aspects. The reason why it is a hardship is because you have basically this 6-month utility rework process that, while you can utilize that for some design and other aspects, it's extending what would be, I'll call it a normal construction project of called a year to occupancy, and you're extending it to 18 months. That may be the difference between a user saying, hey, I'm going to go down the street because I can be in a year.
So you're apparently not telling us something. Have you started all the documents to show all those utility relocations? Do you have surveys? Have you located all these things? Are they live? Are they abandoned? I mean, you have a lot of work to do before you start putting shovels in the ground. Come on, man. I mean, I'm not.
All these utility surveys have been done. It contacts with all the utility companies.
Are the working drawings done? Have you got all the utilities approved?
They're submitted for permit.
So why don't you say that? You're not telling me anything.
We submitted
You're
for
being
permit
very vague and sort of secretive here.
Not intentionally. So I apologize for that.
Yeah, well, that being said, you're 30 days from at least a good draft of your master plan. It would make more sense to see that in the context of what we're discussing today. So we see something in.
So I'm going to come back in 30 days with the master plan.
Yeah, and I'd like to speak a little bit more to the master planning process as well. We've been engaging in the master plan with Boston-based firm UTL, Urban Planning and Design, as well as Merritt Chase, which is a Pittsburgh-based landscape architecture firm, since early January. We've been working with them through the master planning process, and the reason for this taking a few months and us preparing for a July presentation to this committee is we wanted to ensure that there's meaningful community engagement throughout that process. And so we've established a community steering committee with residents, faith-based leaders, and CDC representatives, as well as some staff from the city of Cleveland, to make sure that the draft that we present to you is really reflective of what the community members want to see in their backyards. And so that's also, just some more context for why we're planning to present in July.
I appreciate that, but I think that needs to come out early on. I think for all of the work that has the utility work that has to be discarded, that's fine. But overall, what are we going to do above ground?
Yeah, and I might just ask if this wasn't part of the midline project and we had these buildings on a site, which again, very happy to come back in 30 days. But if this was a separate site, not a part of the midline project, and we were presenting what we already have as a conceptual site plan, would you want to understand the context of a larger neighborhood vision?
Yes.
Yes. You're conflating things, but I'm gonna let you have that one. Well, here's the deal. Let me tell you how I feel. I mean, I don't live too far from here. It has nothing to do with me. I'm privileged. I can get in a car, go anywhere I want to go. I can shop where I want to go. I can fly anywhere in the world. But the people's lives that are going to be impacted by this, that's what I'm advocating for. Yeah, I'm not trying to give you a hard time. The people, they deserve to know what's going on. There's $50 million of public money in this. And so at the end of the day, I understand why you had to go about the way you had to go about it to quietly acquire property. But now the cat is out of the bag. So you need to be transparent and share with us what you intend to do, or at least conceptually. That's all I'm saying, guys. Not about me.
Great. No problem. Happy to see you in July.
So may I have a motion?
Would you agree to postpone this for 30 days? Or we can table it. Either way. You have to agree if we postpone it.
Yeah, happy to. Absolutely.
30 days is good enough. That enough time?
Not enough time.
We don't have anything to do with you.
I'm Mike. Sorry. Or not.
It's just when your master plan presentation will be ready.
That's enough time. Yep.
Yeah.
30
You sure?
days. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I move we postpone item number EC 2026-020 6515 Carnegie Avenue demolition for 30 days until such time the applicant has the ability to come in and share with us their overall conceptual master plan.
Madam Chair, I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please. Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Motion
Yes.
carries. Motion carries. See you all in 30 days. Thank you so much. Remaining in Central East, our next item is EC 2026-018. This is the Banks-Baldwin house demolition located at 1845 East 66th Street. And do we have Miss Lauren Murray present? Hi, good morning. I'm just going to swear you in. If you can just make sure your mic is on green there. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth for this matter and hearing under the penalty of perjury?
I do.
Awesome. Thank you for being here today. You have the clicker. You probably heard me say it a couple times, slight delay. Just give it a moment.
Am I pointing it somewhere specific? That's better. Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Lauren Murray. I'm the Executive Director at Dunham Tavern Museum and Gardens. We sold a portion of our land to the Cleveland Foundation in 2019, where they have since built their new headquarters building. Around that same time, we were also working on our own master plan for our campus, which was completed in 2021. Since then, pretty recently, in the past couple of years, we've been at work on implementing that master plan. We're in the kind of walk the walk phase. It's very exciting. We are installing our new walking trail. We have removed all the fencing on our property, cleared overgrowth. We are running our electrical service underground so we can get rid of the telephone poles that run right through the middle of our park. And we have built a new visitor center. So the red star on this, this is also a kind of broader view of the context of our master plan. So our property spans from Euclid to Chester. It's also along East 66th Street, where there's been a lot of neighborhood development focused. So we are also kind of excited for the east-west greenway that runs through the middle of the block, planned for the middle of the block between Euclid and Chester, and then spills out at Dunham Tavern. So originally, this is the Banks-Baldwin house that sits at the corner of East 66 and Chester.
It was moved to the Dunham property in the late 90s. Originally, it was over on Ansel Road. It dates to 1869 or 1870 as a farmhouse in the area that was at the time Doan's Corners. Then it was occupied starting around the 1940s by the Banks-Baldwin Law Publishing Company. They have the distinction of being the oldest law publishing company in the country. Fun fact. So that's another layer of history to the building. They made modifications to the structure. And then it had its final life as at its home on the Dunham property. Coming in the late 90s, not all of the building was moved. There were additional modifications that were made. And so after we sold the land, the plan was to move this on the property to become a new visitor center. As I learned, that quickly got very cost prohibitive for us, and the condition of the building would have added really significant expense to actually make it usable as a visitor center. A lot of condition reasons, but also the fact that it was just a small house, and to use it in a commercial way to welcome the public to a public space, the current condition of the building and the needs that it had were really out of hand for us. So we initially, and here's another closer view of the master plan. So Dunham Tavern is there on Euclid Avenue towards the bottom of this image. Just to the right, the letter B is the proposed location for the visitor center. That's now where our new visitor center sits. So we built this structure late last summer. As this project evolved and we worked through what to do with the Banks-Baldwin house, the first idea was, again, to pick up and move the whole structure, renovate it as a visitor center. When that was off the table, then we had the idea to do a mostly new build, maybe salvaging some architectural elements, and then kind of recreate it next to Dunham Tavern. So over a year ago, we engaged with Perspectus Architecture, a historic preservation architectural firm, and we had a question for them of, well, if we're going to portray this building, which of its histories are we supposed to show? Its original form on Ansel Road and Doan's Corners, the moment that it had as being the home of Banks-Baldwin Law Publishing Company, its kind of final form on the property at Dunham Tavern, like which is the one that we're supposed to land on, essentially. And they did a lot of really thorough research. They visited the property, they did their own investigation and diving into historical records, and the answer that they came up with was, you shouldn't. You should not be trying to recreate this house. It doesn't have historical value that you're trying to find. And then layered upon top of that was landmarks saying that there's the Gothic window that's on the original house was kind of the one architectural element that stood out as kind of special. And so Perspectus called that out as, if there's one piece that you were to preserve, this might be that piece. And then Landmark said, you really shouldn't be doing that either. This is a building that has to sit next to Dunham Tavern, which is our real historic jewel on this property. And so the architecture that sits next to us needs to complement, not compete, or be kind of disjointed from what Dunham Tavern is there on its own. Throughout all of this process, we've been in communication with the Banks-Baldwin Foundation. They are dedicated to the legacy of that company. So we have, they know that I'm going through this process. We've together kind of wrestled with ways that we could still uphold the history of the Banks-Baldwin Law Publishing Company, the Banks-Baldwin House. And so also inspired by that Gothic window, this is just a mock-up for fun. We're not sure fully what this would look like, but we have decided that we would have some kind of physical marker on our property to commemorate kind of multiple histories with some kind of marker, and then didactics, signage that describes the histories we want to talk about. So that would be, you know, the Banks-Baldwin House itself, the Banks-Baldwin Law Publishing Company, of which the foundation has archival materials and more histories that they would love to be able to share with us in a more concrete way. And it was always a bit of a stretch to say that this building belongs at Dunham Tavern. And we've really thought about how we could make that kind of historical connection a bit more purposeful. And that's where the story of Doan's Corners as a settlement comes into play. a lot of Denham's history is about being transportation based. We were on the stagecoach route, Euclid Avenue, as a stagecoach stop. And so putting in context for Clevelanders and any visitor of, we've got downtown Cleveland, then we have Little Denham Tavern, we have Doan's Corners. The way that people moved through our neighborhoods, the way that they traveled and related to all these various settlements can help us kind of paint a picture of a given point in time. So we feel like it might even get a little more relevant for us if we focus on that kind of piece of the history by way of interpretation instead of this boarded up building. When we first visited Central East Design Review, they had emphasized our need for a site plan so that we ended up being tabled and came back to them yesterday. This is a little more specific context of where we are. We're at the corner of 66 and Chester. We also were asked about what the plan is for the site. It is to remove the building, grade and seed, and it's not land that we own. So our goal is to just get it looking well taken care of and proper. We do have a bid for demolition that would include all the demo of the existing building, removal of all the debris, including slab, capping of existing utilities, backfill grade to match the existing land, seed, and straw. So we are here today. I'm happy to take your questions. Perpetual source of stress for me, this building. I am not the sort that wants to go around knocking things around. Historic preservation is all about what I do, but we're also really proud of what we're creating on our campus with a place that's full of life and is a real community gathering place. And the visitor center is a great component of that. Historic house museums are pretty static. I can't rearrange the furniture every other day because that would be too much. But with the gallery space in the visitor center, we will have a place to swap out exhibitions that expand our period of interpretation, let us tell more stories from our neighborhood. Things like an accessible restroom, a wraparound porch for programming, a gift shop, which I admittedly am excited about. And just really, we're still growing into what we've started working on with the master plan, but we're activating now. I mean, we have construction vehicles elsewhere on the property, but we had over 130 people out for Juneteenth last weekend. So we're going for it, even if not everything is totally buttoned up. And just the other day, I noticed on a part of our walking trail that is finished, not all of it is closed yet, but some pieces are done. We have some natural stone seating that we've brought in that was salvaged from around this house to create benches. And I saw someone sitting on it, and it was the most wonderful feeling. And then right behind that person is this building that's looking pretty shabby and boarded up. So we're just really want this to feel like a neighborhood park that's welcoming.
Thank you for your enthusiasm and passion. No,
sorry, it's probably nerves, but I'm doing my best.
You're nerding out. I'm a nerd, so I love it. I love it. Commission members.
Well, this is a personal thing. I am supposed to attend a wedding there in August, so hopefully you're done with all the construction.
No pressure, Lord.
And I walk by there every day because it's down the street from my house, and they are doing wonderful things there. So I can say that. So, having said that, Madam Chair, I would like to move to approve the demolition of the Banks-Baldwin demolition, item number EC 2026-018 as presented, and to allow for future development of Midtown.
Madam Chair, I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much.
Have a great rest of your day.
You should have seen her face as we were sitting there talking.
You must have noticed that.
Like, I've been watching you the whole time.
For all of this during like the Zoom days when WebEx was my friend, I'm like, I have to actually not have to go in person.
All right.
You
You
don't
did
have a
great.
poker face.
You did great.
You can go over to the tavern now.
All right, shifting over to the Southeast Design Review. Our next item is PRJ 26-003319. This is Oasis signage located at 11209 Kinsman Road. Do we have Jacqueline Ward present?
Madam Chair, before we start, I'll need to abstain from this discussion. I've had some involvement some years back.
Okay.
So
Thank you
for
for
the record.
stating that for the record. We have Xavier here. Ma'am, I'm just gonna swear you in. Can you make sure your mic is green? There you go. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth for this matter in hearing under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Great. Thank you. Good morning. Again, my name is Xavier Bay. I'm a zoning planner with City Planning. Presenting to you the proposal for signage for Oasis, which is at 11209 Kingsman Road. All right, there we go. This is a very straightforward proposal here. Altogether, the applicant's proposing about 18 square feet of wall signage, and then additionally, the main reason we're seeing this is the monument sign, as there is incorporated like a changeable copy facing. So the property is located in a local retail business district, and so within local retail business districts, this automatic changeable copy sign requires variation from the code. So you can see here another aerial view where the property sits along Kingsman. We also incorporated a few contextual photos going up and down the street. You can see some of the commercial context, a few residential units, 2-family, 3-family, single family, as well as a local church nearby. And so this body has the ability to vary the sign code within design review districts. And so the three primary specific criteria that this body should look at is design compatibility. So mainly understanding if the variation results in a better suited design proposal. We're looking at how closely this aligns with our design guidelines, as well as a minimum variation from the zoning code. And so here you can see the monument sign, mainly that digital LED 6x3 panel is what requires this hearing, as it's a changeable copy sign in a local retail district. And that's all I have. Just reiterating those three standards: design compatibility, design guidelines, and minimum variation. Also, since this is an automatic changeable copy sign, the code says that there should be a fixed minimum of 20 seconds per image, but this body can vary that as well. Thank you. We also provided the applicant's sign package. If you want to hear any additional information, I'll turn it over.
Thanks, Xavier. Any additional context you would like to add?
Well, I thank you all for allowing me to be here.
Just can you move the mic a little closer, just so that
Thank you all.
I can hear.
Nice to see you all a new team. Since I actually submitted this, I submitted this last February, and it's getting done. So I really appreciate the opportunity. This is the Mount Pleasant area, and the location where this will be located is designed for women who have come out of transition. And this is a whole event center, and it's in the Mount Pleasant area, and the whole facility has been redone. If you were to drive past that place today, it's a fence there. It's about 4 feet high, and it would sit back about 4 feet, so about 8 feet. So we've checked all the ordinances where it needs to sit, from the sidewalks and everything like that. The mission is to beautify the communities. Mount Pleasant, of course, anybody that knows the history of Mount Pleasant, was the first community for home ownership of African Americans in our region. And I actually lived there, so it's real personal when I look at the opportunity to be able to beautify a community that I grew up in. This unit is designed to actually just to show the on-premise advertising of the events potentially that will be there, and also because there's going to be a cafe and there's going to be the counseling services. So it's going to be minimum, and I know that as far as the highway, that they allow 12. When they do changes, it could be 12 seconds, but I know I just heard them say 20 for Cleveland. Also, you can also, if there's a lighting issue with any of the software now, you can actually take the software, dim it down at night, so you have dimmers that are automatic and variations like that. So just want to make the city beautiful. That's the mission of my business. I'm a sign company here locally, and my mission is to make the whole city beautiful. Well, make the world beautiful, but I'll start with Cleveland. How about that? So what our mission is too, is to take any project that we work on and you could set it in any community, and it would look. I don't care where. If you took this to Bentleyville, it would work. You know, and that's the mission, to bring that same beauty to the urban communities.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Commission members, any comments or questions? And just noting the variance because of the automatic changeable sign to be included in the motion.
I will absolve August of having to make every motion. And I move approval of the signage at 11209 Kinsman with accepting the request for the automatic changeable copy sign in a local retail district.
Second. Motion in a second. Roll call, please. Yes.
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 Go.
Same. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ward. Have a great day.
Yes, thank you.
Switching this. Moving down to Downtown Flats Design Review, our next item is PRJ 26 unnumbered Prospect OBM sign located at 750 Prospect Avenue. Do we have the project representative? Is it Yumna?
I'm here by Zoom. Sorry, I couldn't make it in person.
No problem. I just want to make sure you were here. I'm going to swear you and your first name? Clifton in, and then we'll proceed. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth for this matter in hearing under the penalty of perjury? And if you can say yes and state your name, that would be great.
My name is Yumna Siddiqui. I'm with Orange Barrel Media.
Thank you, Yumna.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much. Anyone else from your team?
Yes, I have two other team members here, John and Randall, if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Randall Sistrunk, Vice President, Orange Barrel Media, Public-Private Partnerships. Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is John Palo. I'm a development director here at OBM. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all for being here. All right, turn it over to you first. Do you have any comments to share?
We do have a staff report at the end, but we'll let the applicant walk through the presentation first.
Okay, awesome. We'll turn it over to you all, and we'll direct the slides on this side.
Thank you. Thank you to the commission. We're here for final approval on a digital conversion at 750 Prospect Avenue. So what you see on the left is obviously our existing condition. We do have a static banner at this location, which is 4,240 feet. We are looking to convert that to a smaller sign, but digital, 1,875 square feet. This sign includes color kinetic lighting, which is lighting that can be programmed to coordinate with the ad content, but also could be programmed independently. And we'll, of course, clean up the wall behind. If you go to the next slide. So, you know, we always, in every project we work on, we want to ensure that that sign is an asset to the community. So in addition to the sign conversion, we are going to commit 20% of the display time to art and community content. I'll speak more about that later. And also any unsold time would also be dedicated to art and community content. And then finally, that kinetic lighting that we have, we can certainly program it to coordinate with the billboard content, but if the city has a program, a citywide display program, we can coordinate with that as well. Next. So the sign is in the Gateway District. Next. This is our full application, right? And it's on the east face of 750 Prospect. Next. Okay. So some of the things that we looked at were the building alignments. There was a comment on this that came out of Downtown Flats Design Review, and I think at the end of this presentation, there's a slight modification. You don't have to go to that page. But we aligned the bottom of the sign with the windows at the top of the 6th floor. And also we looked at one of the comments that came out of Downtown Flats is they asked us, you see how it's 5 feet on the top and it was centered left and right. They asked us to kind of make all of those dimensions the same. which we will. The final size, we have it currently at 73 feet wide. It'll vary just a little based on module sizes once we pick our manufacturer, but we understand the intent to match the spacing on top and sides. Next. So this is the existing sign in the late afternoon. Next. And then proposed. Next. Here it is at night. It is lit, currently externally illuminated. There's light that washes it from below. Next. And then this is the proposed sign. And then next. So one of the comments that came out of design review was they asked us to speak a little bit more about how we arrived at these proportions and this kind of placement on the building. So, you know, I'm just sharing that information here. You know, we wanted the sign to feel like a larger advertising sign. This is a, you know, entertainment district, and we wanted it to be something that advertising buyers would look for across the country. So, you know, there are standard aspect ratios that people use when producing content. And so we did this using those standard aspect ratios, this initial study. And so you'll see here, we have a 9:16, 1:3, 14:48. And it was our opinion that the, you know, 1:3 was the best ratio with the building geometry. So if we go to the next one. So on the left, you see that 1:3 ratio. We did feel that ratio looked good, but we thought could look better if it got, you know, a little bit wider, took up a bit more of that facade. And then finally, we added this illumination, this kind of soft glow around it of a halo of lighting to kind of just fill the space of the building. Now, this is adjustable lighting. We've used it on many signs, and we'll make sure that it shoots just straight back onto that bit of the facade and hits those edges. So the next one. So we also, since we were here last, we worked a little bit more on our art program. So this is a statement from our in-house curator. Obviously, I'm not going to read it, but it speaks to the ambition of the program. We're going to work with national and emerging Cleveland artists. And really, this is a way to bring their work to a really broad and diverse downtown audience. And the sign will, at launch, we're going to have two partners. We've identified MoCA Cleveland as well as Arts Inspired Learning will be our first art partners. But obviously, once we are in the community, we will continue to build on that. And the next, these are some local artists that we have interest in, but we haven't reached out to. We have through our IKE program. Next. So we don't have a large sign in Cleveland yet. So I wanted to speak a little bit about our art curation in other markets. This is the Sunset Spectacular. It was a project that we won in West Hollywood through a competitive RFP. It's on city property, and it was awarded for design and public benefits. This sign also includes a curated art program. We work with LA arts institutions as well as artists to develop content. 500,000 cars drive by each face of this every day. Next. And then this is a sign in Atlanta at 235 Peachtree. And I wanted to use this as an example to speak a little bit about our public arts work. The upper left corner is a piece we work with a local artist directly, Sarah Nurberger. The one on the upper right is a piece we work with a local artist, Neon Cardigan. This was part of a program by a local group named Living Walls that was developing murals, static murals during COVID. They were putting up around town to kind of share these uplifting message during those initial days of the shutdown. The lower left is a piece we did with Four Freedoms on this same sign. Four Freedoms is a group that engages artists to develop artwork around social issues, and we work with them across the country on our signs. And then on the lower right is another nationwide campaign. In 2020, we had a voter campaign, nonpartisan, just to encourage voter turnout, where we worked with local artists, with national artists to develop content encouraging voter participation. So the next. So we do have, I mentioned very briefly, we have a set of kiosks in the city already, Ike kiosks. And through that program, our community engagement team has developed a lot of established partnerships in the city of Cleveland and in the state, which we will certainly expand upon when we build this sign. Next. These are some letters of support from some of those community partners who we're working with on Ike. Next. And this is a maintenance narrative, but really the key point is that we will be responsible for all maintenance. The sign has no audio, and we have remote monitoring capability, so we will be able to see if something is going a little funny. And there is an ambient light sensor on this sign, which is to say, in the brightest part of the day, the sign will shine brighter, but as the light diminishes, the sensor will pick that up and the sign will dim automatically. Next. We had a question at design review about how drivers might see this sign. And it's been, it's been our observation, it's been our research that driver distraction is really mostly driven by cell phone usage. But we do have some comparable installations that I can share with you to kind of speak about that. So one of the metrics we use in our industry is something called Geopath impressions. Geopath is a rating agency that goes around and measures, the size and scale of a sign, but also its sort of vehicular visibility, right? And how much traffic is on those roads that are passing it. So I don't have a better metric to compare these three signs because I don't have traffic counts of all of the streets, but I am using Geopath impressions. So 750 Prospect, the sign we have up there right now, has 400,000 weekly impressions, right? I have, as a comparable, there's this sign on the lower left is a sign we have at Sunset and La Cienega. You can see it's quite low to the ground. This site gets 2,600,000 Geopath impressions. And it's a location where La Cienega, which is a major thoroughfare in Los Angeles, dies into Sunset Boulevard. And we've had no issues there where that before and after this hasn't impacted driver behavior. And then on the right, there's a sign at Forsyth and Peachtree, and this is also a V-shaped intersection like our site. And this one has a little bit less, 256,000 Geopath impressions. But again, since that sign went live, you can see it's a similar placement relative to traffic. There's been no issues. So move on. Another question that came up at design review was about residential lighting impacts. And there was questions about how the sign might impact the current and future apartment and condos that were moving into the area. So I worked with Dan in planning to understand, and you can see they're dotted in, where all those apartments and housing units will be. And then what we did is we completed a photometric study with our light study consultant. And what this is a digital modeling of the light. Our assumption for this model is the light output of the sign is 300 nits. A nit is, just a measure of output, but a 300 nit output is similar to, a telephone or a computer screen or a TV monitor. And this is the brightness that we run our signs at night. This is a nighttime study. And so if you were to look at this, you would see that the impact of the light as we move away, we move through, this goes to about 250 feet away, is negligible. It is less than it is like by 300 feet away, it's 0.08 foot candles. A foot candle, 1 foot candle is the light output of one candle measured at 1 foot from the candle. So it's the incremental light impact to the neighborhood. This assumes there was no sign there to begin with, is very small. So if we go to the next slide, the second piece of this light study is we did go out and take field measurements of the existing ambient light levels, right? So that we can compare those light levels to what we're adding to the space. So if you look at like say 0.4, that existing condition is, 3.8 foot candles. And we are looking to add, 0.19 foot candles in that same location, right? So the incremental light increase around the sign is quite low. The other thing we did at this light study is we did look at the two signs at the 9, which we understand there are concerns about the brightness of those signs. And ours is, we don't know, but we think that they may just be, not operating on the same light sensors as our newer technology would. So we measured the foot candle readings in those areas are noticeably higher, right? And obviously they change depending on what content is on the screen, but they're getting up to 18 or foot candles, right? But what we did is we took our light meter and also measured the nit output of the face of the sign. So as you recall, we are assuming the nit output of our sign is 300 nits. The nit output of that sign, was around 500, right? So we think that, I think that those concerns are sort of triggered by the technology upgrades, right? Are resolved with the technology upgrades. And of course, we also measured the nit output of the static sign that is there now, and it was already 242 nits. So the incremental nit output at night is minimal. Sorry for the technical dive, but it's here. So that's all I've got there, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Oh yes, sorry. This is a quick response to the comments we got. We went to design review yesterday, so we did update this, and you can go to the next page. We got 2 comments from design review. They asked us to make the sign equal in dimension, and there is a finance building sign on that little bit of the building that sticks up. They've asked us to, it's painted. It's a painted sign, so they've asked us to paint over it.
Awesome. Thank you, Yumna. I really appreciate it. Anyone else from the team? Any comments before I turn it over to staff? Okay.
All right. Thank you, and good morning, everybody. Dan Schinkel, Downtown Flats Planner and Principal Planner of Major Projects in Public Realm. Just wanted to walk through the project here, some of the code requirements, and the conditions from design review. Just as a quick update, the design review did look at this yesterday, as you mentioned, and they've already addressed 2 of the 3 conditions. So that first condition, there's a finance building, wall sign essentially that was painted on many years ago. It's no longer functioning as the finance building. So it's a little bit outdated, and they're showing that painted over, which kind of matches their scope of work of addressing that wall with the improvements. They've also updated things based on the equidistance from top to sign and sides to sign to be equal as the committee had requested. The committee also asked that there be planters provided by the building owner outside to help address, streetscape improvements. And they also commended the applicant for their art curation work and their community engagement. I also wanted to just thank Yumna and the team. They've had a very detailed presentation with us over the process of going through these reviews. They've given us a lot of the architectural requirements that we hope to see and addressed a lot of the residential lighting impacts that we have heard consistently from downtown neighborhood folks that live in residential units or in hotel rooms. There's a lot of technical information on a couple of those slides, but what I think is really interesting is those 2 9 billboards that are up there, sort of notorious downtown as being like overly bright. And they have shown that their increase in overall like ambient light levels is very, very minimal. And we're very appreciative of that detail. To walk through the code here, this is an existing non-conforming billboard. So what makes it existing and non-conforming? Well, obviously it's existing, right? So the nonconformities here, if this were a new billboard, are listed. So typically, if we were trying to do a billboard like this brand new in this district, it wouldn't be allowed in the district. First and foremost, it would be too large for the district, be too high. too close to other existing billboards. In terms of illumination, typically automatic changeable copy isn't allowable unless we come before the board or the commission here. So typically on a new build, these are all the things that would make it non-conforming. If you go to the next slide, we have code specific for these instances when there is an existing billboard before the code was written. So they must come before the commission here and meet these 5 conditions. So there has to be site and design improvements. There's a degree of nonconformity component, location, sign type, and changeable copy. And we'll go into that in a little bit of detail. And you can see 3 of the 5 are already met. If you go to the next slide, we'll start with kind of the easy ones. So degree of nonconformity, it can be no greater in size, height, or number of panels. Yeah, and sorry, my allergies are a little high right now this season, so my throat is a little scratchy. But so the degree of nonconformity, it can be no greater in size, height, or number of panels. So this is smaller in every dimension. There are no additional panels. Location has to be precisely in the same spot. It is basically in the same location. In terms of sign type, it has to be the same type of sign unless the commission deems that other sign types are more compatible with the area. And I think we've heard at schematic with you guys and with design review, everybody is good with a changeable copy here. And then in terms of that changeable copy, it has to meet some of those stipulations that we have around, flashing lights and things like that. So they meet those typical standards. Next slide. So the one piece that they're asking for a waiver on today is the site and landscape improvements. And so what the code requests of applicants here is that the site shall be landscaped and otherwise improved through use of an ornamental base or frame, a streamlined support structure, or similar features effective in improving the appearance of the site. So they have, in my opinion, sort of ornamented the frame with that LED ring. They've certainly streamlined it. It's a very sleek structure overall, but they haven't provided any landscaping components to that. And the reasoning behind that is obviously it's a 0 lot line building downtown. There's not like private property that you could plant grass or the code here basically is asking for shrubbery, right? And so they've requested a waiver. In the past, we have waived this requirement for other types of billboards in this type of scenario. And the code really is written for specific uses, right? Like this is code for a monopole billboard out in the middle of a green field. And so it's really about landscaping that site. And so we support their request for a waiver on that today. And with that, I'll turn it back over and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Dan. Commission members, questions, comments for the applicant?
I think it's a very thorough presentation. I can tell staff's done a lot to kind of understand all the moving parts, and it's hard to believe that this could generate any more light than the one across the street.
I think the detailed presentation shows
it from my
almost negligible. And to compete with that one would be very hard.
Yes, it's like little Tokyo there. I got to just like lean into it and have more. So
I did have just a quick question for the applicant. Thank you for lifting up the community engagement element with MoCA and arts-inspired learning. Can you just speak a little bit to how does your community engagement team identify partners in the local region?
Yeah, Randall, you should take this one.
I'm trying to unmute. Oh, hey guys, Randall. So I head up the community outreach and engagement team nationally. And so our approach in each city is pretty similar, but it kind of varies city by city. So we have a whole team specifically designed around going into each community, working with key stakeholders, identifying key priorities and key areas in cities in order to kind of develop and cultivate relationships. And so what we would do here would be no different. We would work with the city, we would work with the council members, and we would identify those key stakeholders, whether it be art institutions, local artists, or other cultural organizations. And then we would go in and develop relationships and program partnerships with these entities to build out the programming for the program and it's for the entirety of the time that the sign is active.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate the response. Bless you.
Madam Chair, I'm gonna try this. Since all the exceptions are listed, I want to try and recall what you told us. I move to approve the signage as presented with the caveat that the applicant work with staff to work out the final details relative to its size and its location on the face of the building. That we are going to waive for the applicant the need to provide site landscaping because they're on a zero lot line building, and also because of the sign type that they're proposing, which is not consistent with the code. And to the commission member, through the chair, the outdated finance building signage that is on the building, are you in agreement with the? Yes, I'm sorry. And also that the outdated finance signing be removed as well. Thank you, Dan.
You have a motion, you have a second?
Second.
Motion in 2 seconds. Roll call, please.
Anthony.
Yes.
Fluker.
Yes.
Blythe
Yes.
and Whitfield.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you all so much. Appreciate your presentation today.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, I have a hard stop at about 11:40. Is that going to mess up quorum, or does that just mean everything has to pass by 3?
So we have 3 more before our administrative approvals and then our informational presentation. So I
Can
think
we just be safe and go to the mandatory first before we take the art chair?
do we have?
Oh,
Okay.
all right.
I think the art. I think we can get there.
Okay.
Okay. I have a hard stop as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on to our public art review. The first one up is Art 26, or excuse me, Art 26-001 Majestic Hotel Mural, which is located at 2275 East 55th. And JP?
No.
Okay, I was like, I feel like JP's been here before.
JP.
What is your first name, please?
My name is Mark.
Mark, nice to meet you. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth for this matter now and hearing under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Awesome. Thank you. Myself. Okay. You have the slides there, or the clicker for your slides. And again, there's a slight delay.
All right. And I'm not sure if Gwendolyn is still on. She was on earlier. Yeah, you over there? Okay. So I'll probably speak her part then, unless she joins in.
Okay. And what was, you said their name is?
Gwendolyn.
Gwendolyn. Thank you.
All right. So my name is Mark Hubner, representing Larson Architects today. And it's good to see some familiar faces. I promise it'll be fast. So we are proposing a 40 by 20 mural honoring the Majestic Hotel in conjunction with the historical marker that is already been produced and is on its way to being installed. It was approved by the board and went through all the proper channels. It is sponsored by the building owners, which are Lincoln Yee and International Food Solutions and Snap Gourmet Foods. It's sponsored also by Councilman Richard Starr. And just to talk a little bit about the significance. All right. So the Majestic Hotel was known as America's finest colored hostelry. It was a cornerstone of Black life in Cleveland and Green Book listed. It operated as apartments and then it was sold. Alonzo G. Wright was actually involved in the sale. And you guys, a very prominent Clevelander. There was lots of entertainment, live jazz. They did have some clubs. It was a very active space. Unfortunately, though, it closed in 1967 and was demolished to make room for the Goodwill building that's currently there. So just to show you kind of where it is, we're looking at East 55th and Central. You can see outlined here where the historical marker location is. It's already been approved and will be installed. The mural is going to complement it by being on the building behind it. So this is the concept, and no Gwendolyn, so I'll describe it. 40 by 20. It will be hand painted. This is an image of the Majestic Hotel in its heyday. This is a color rendering that is pretty old and one of the only existing photos. So this is a good reference. The local mural artist is Days. I've actually never met him, but I did some research and he's very accomplished. Very, very cool stuff. They have committed to anti-graffiti coating and regular inspection and a gentle wash. And the art director is Gwendolyn Garth, who's also a community activist and who's pretty well known in Ward 5. So just to show it in context, I will say the image to the left is a little deceiving. The plan is to have this image scaled in the center of the building. So the building is roughly 30 feet. So it'll be 5 feet from the ground, 5 feet from the top. And I can read this. It's a little note. Majestic Hotel, 1902 to 1967, America's finest colored hostelry. This mural is dedicated to the children of the diaspora and our memories of those who traveled through the Great Migration to make Cleveland, Ohio their home. We give special thanks to International Food Solutions for being a good neighbor and assisting us in preserving our African American heritage. My children of a darker hue, never forget we are descendants of kings and queens, and we carry indomitable spirit with us. Humbly submitted by Gwendolyn Garth, and she considers herself an artivist. All right. And just to show you a little context, so this is representing the master plan for this site. We're currently just going for the mural. There's a pocket park that will coordinate with, it will complement the sign that's already there, that's coming later. And the parking lot improvement is also not part of this. Eventually, part of the reason for raising that sign up to be centered, like it's shown here, is for some planting that would come in a later phase. And to take a look at, it's kind of hard to see, but we tried to illustrate it here. This is sort of the street view, what it would look like from the intersection, sort of the scale on the building. And the owner did want me to tell you those trees have been trimmed and that is much nicer looking.
I don't want to cut off, but just we're short on time. I think it's a great little ode to the history. I think it complements the mural or the historical marker well. So I'm comfortable moving approval if others are.
Second.
Actually, before we start, I do have to abstain here, but we will call for a motion.
Okay. So I move approval. Good.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Anthony,
Abstain.
Fluker,
Yes.
Blythe,
Yes.
and Whitfield.
Yes. Well, thank you. That was the fastest approval ever.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day. Hope you're not here all day.
All right, our next item is ART 26-003. This is Port of Cleveland mural at 515 Erie Side Avenue. Do we have Daisy online? Yes, there you go. Hi,
Present.
Daisy.
Hi,
Thank you
guys.
so much for being here. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth for this matter and hearing under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you so much. We will control the slides over here, so feel free to proceed.
Okay, perfect. I know everyone's short on time, so I'll keep this short and sweet. So this mural is being sponsored by the Port of Cleveland, and essentially acts as a celebration of the relationship between the Port of Cleveland and my organization, NCWDC. It will be placed within North Coast Yard. And we are working with a local artist, Jared Mitchell. Thank you. So the mural location, as you can see, will be placed just on the side of a shipping container, just in front of the mother steamship. We decided this essentially because it protects the mural from weather damage and also creates a pretty nice vista with the mother. So there's that sort of relationship between the port, North Coast Yard, and Lake Erie. Next. So we'll be using Sherwin-Williams Latitude exterior acrylic latex, which we have used previously on site, and it's held up pretty well. There will be some smaller details being painted with aerosol paint and paintbrushes, etc. The containers are also constructed with powder-coated steel, which really allows the paint to adhere well. Next. And then we'll be applying an anti-graffiti coating on top of it. And we'll also be keeping touch-up paint on site so that we can make any touch-ups necessary pretty quickly. I'm just going to really quickly read through the artist statement. As an Ohio muralist, I am passionate about creating public artwork that reflects the identity of Port of Cleveland and the purposes it serves. The Port of Cleveland immediately stood out as a place where industry, freshwater stewardship, and regional, national, and international pride comes together. Inspired by photographs I captured during our port tour and the Made in America documentary, this concept puts a variety of those elements into perspective. The design layers cranes, freighters, navigation elements, wildlife, and the Cleveland skyline into a unified visual narrative celebrating the port's role as a gateway to Lake Erie and global commerce. Distressed textures, bold graphic forms, and high contrast imagery reflect the strength, movement, and craftsmanship found throughout the working waterfront. As you can see, this is the concept art that we're working with currently. The container itself is 8 foot by 20 foot, and we are looking to install this mural over the complete side of that container.
Thank you so much, Daisy. Dan?
Yeah, thank you, Daisy. This project went through Downtown Flats yesterday as well and received approval with no conditions, and we're very supportive of it. That's all.
Sorry, Tara wasn't available today, but she asked me to note that the Port of Cleveland logo was removed from the original design, so it's not a sign and it is a mural. And as they are installing this live at an event, we want to remind them to keep the Port of logo mural out of the mural when they're installing it live.
Okay.
Yeah, and they have since said that they'll put up a plaque.
Madam Chair, instead of plaques, why don't we use QR codes? They seem to be a little more technology forward. Just a thought. A plaque with a QR code on it. You get what you need. Anyway. I will move approval. Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Anthony?
Yes.
Fluker?
Yes.
Life?
Yes.
Whitfield?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you so much. Appreciate your presentation today. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
We're going to go to the mandatory referral first and then come back to the for information North Coast, if that's okay with everyone? Okay.
Our next item is mandatory legislative referral resolution number 713-2026, declaring the intent to vacate a portion of Carter Road. Still you? All right. Welcome back.
And I believe we have Eric Westfall here too from MoCamp, so please come join us. If you want to walk through the vacation itself, and then I'll cover the background.
Thank you.
If you could make it quick.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your time, Eric Westfall, Survey Section Chief.
This is a request to vacate a portion of Carter Road on behalf of Lake Link for the future development. I have Mr. Schinkel here to elaborate a little bit more on the development that they're proposing.
Yeah, and you could see some of the vacation there. I'm going to advance quickly given our time. Essentially, the city road was built on a private set of parcels. And so the property owner has been really lovely to work with since to rectify the issue. And also as we put in utilities, we were able to coordinate with him on the development plans that he had. So you have seen these projects before. There are 11 homes planned. 2 are received approval here. You actually asked us never to come back again for the rest, so that's great. And they're actually quite lovely. We developed design guidelines with the property owner on it. These were the ones that you approved, and then they're under construction now. I'll pause there for a second just to show. One is about to be moved into. The vacation is required to really continue marketing these sites and get the rest of it built. So
I'll move approval. This is just giving the hillside back. This seems obvious.
Second.
A motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Anthony.
Yes.
Fluker.
Yes.
Blythe.
Yes.
Whitfield.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank
it. And then just really quickly, we have some administrative approvals, mandatory approvals. If we can get a quick motion for that.
Quick motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Anthony.
Yes.
Fluker.
Yes.
Blythe.
Yes.
Whitfield.
Yes.
Motion
Yay.
carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And then our final item today for information only is a presentation from the North Coast Yard. This is a June update. I don't believe you are Zoe, so trying to pull the wool over my eye.
Yes.
Great to have you back.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you everyone for having us. I am not Zoe Toscas. I am Scott Skinner. I run the North Coast Waterfront Development Corporation. We were asked to come back. You approved last year a temporary pop-up park that ended up being quite successful, and we reopened a couple weeks ago this year. We're asked to come back and just provide an update on where we're at in just a few minutes. So I'll walk through this pretty quickly. I'll remind everyone at the start, this is still meant to be a temporary pop-up park. Features of it may be included in the permanent version of a lakefront development. But this is meant to be sort of a temporary pop-up park that will likely either move or have some change at the end of this summer. There we go. Oh, it's just on the slow. There we go. Okay. So North Coast Yard is about 1.2 acres on a 25-acre surface parking lot. It is in the northeast corner of the north of Brown Stadium next to the steamship Mather. Last year we opened in late June and featured programming that include basketball leagues, soccer leagues, live music. We have a liquor license in the bar, food trucks, and free roller skating. This is, again, see the North Coast Yard is piloting different uses that could be on the permanent version of a lakefront development site. So this is obviously an image from the field operations master plan conducted by the city of Cleveland with a stadium as an anchor for the site. We are in the process of creating a new master plan and envisioning the site with no stadium on it. We expect to have something to release to the general public late this summer to solicit community input, community engagement, community feedback, and we'll likely be back in front of this body later this year to present a new master plan for this site without a stadium on it. But the principles, the values, all of the community feedback that the city received based off of this master plan is what is informing a future master plan as well as the programming at the North Coast Yard. So again, this is what it is, about 1.2 acres. The middle of it is what we call community blacktop, which serves a variety of uses. We have a bar in one of the shipping containers. It's a good amount of shade elements and some asphalt art as well. Furniture is, again, this is meant to be pop-up. This is sort of tactile urbanism is a term that I learned as part of this. These wood pallets are used as couches in the field operations master plan. Front porch or places to sit and look at the water was a key component of community feedback that we heard. This is a very quick way to provide that while we are planning for the permanent version of a site. I should add in the couches and wood pallet furniture were actually constructed by CMSD students from a technical high school in partnership with some of our project partners. There are a lot of sort of play elements on the site. We treat this like someone's front or backyard. There are kids' toys out there on a regular basis. Bubbles, I have a 3-year-old son. This is Mecca for him. Kids' trikes, and we're leaning even heavier into the kids' play element. This year, there's turf, and when it gets hot outside, we put sprinklers and let kids run through them. It's meant to be something that is fun, family-friendly, and really participatory. Not to diminish the efforts of any of this last year, because it was a large effort to stand up, but in sort of proving that folks want to spend time on our waterfront, we put up a dozen shipping containers, and we had 25,000 unique visitors in the first 2.5 months that we were open. We were able to track them through a variety of our project partners. That's a combination of sort of large events as well as everyday programming. We had 20 birthday party celebrations ranging from 6 to 65. Actually, that should be 2 to 65 because I know that child in turn 2. A couple large scale events, 4th of July watch party, which we are doing again next week. Last year we worked with the MGK team to hold a large scale skateboarding competition, and this is also a location that folks like to watch the air show, but they can actually do it free of charge and still watch right on the lakefront. We took a lot of pride in the diversity of our partners last year. We had 7 partners, programmatic partners that represented 17 different neighborhoods and 5 surrounding suburbs. And we worked with over 70 partners across the 2.5 months last summer. And we've brought almost all of them back plus more this summer. So these are everything from small local businesses to nonprofit partners in the arts world to recreation focused partners that operate leagues across the city. One of them is Soul Republic, runs our bar and was the most consistent food truck we have there last year. They run Zanzibar, Angie's Soul Food Cafe. This summer we have a variety of food trucks and uses coming throughout the season, but Soul Republic is still working with us. Last year our programming included Monday nights sort of pickup soccer, so European style futsal. This year we're doing that again. It's frankly surprising and great to go to this site on a Monday evening and see 200 people down there, some playing soccer, some coming just to watch. We've been hosting World Cup watch parties the last couple of weeks as well. The first USA game, we had a giant screen, so people were able to both play soccer and watch it. And we had almost 1,200 people come to the site to watch a soccer game, which was terrific. Wednesday nights, we work with an organization called P League. They host a basketball tournament throughout the entire summer. Last year, Thursday night, we work with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to use their artist in residence program to bring live music to the site. Fridays during the day, we work with a group called Advocate Skateworks. They host youth skateboarding camps for the site. And then Friday evenings, we do sort of free roller skating for anyone who wants to come by, working with our great partner, Rollin' Buckeyes. So Rollin' Buckeyes, we work with every Friday night last year. They bring their own DJ. We work with them and provide some funding so they can offer roller skating for free. So anyone can come by, rent roller skates, and sort of use the yard on a Friday evening. It's a really fun time. Every single Friday, bars open, food trucks are out as well. Last summer, they had over 800 skates rented over the 3.5 months that they were there. They were already at a significantly higher count for this summer in just the first few weeks that we've been open. Again, this was last year when we had 17 wards as opposed to 15. Folks coming to roller skate and work with Rollin' Buckeyes represented every single ward in the city and 425 different zip codes in 18 states. So we are getting residents of Cleveland coming down here as well as visitors. And the approach we're taking for the North Coast Yard that we will continue to take for the permanent version of lakefront development is working with partners that already have audiences in different parts of the city of Cleveland. So rather than create sort of our own audience, create our own type of programming that is already happening in the city, working with folks that have audiences in parts of the city that don't normally have access to the lakefront to ensure they can bring their audiences and bring their visitors and bring their users with them to us to enjoy the waterfront here. Just some great quotes of how much people liked it. And we did get really terrific reviews throughout the entire summer. 2026, so this summer, like I said, we've already started focusing on music and culture, community, education, recreation, health and wellness, and nature. The bottom left corner of the Advocate Skate Group actually built a skate park for this summer that sits next to the site. That's been really popular already. We also, so this is the programming for this summer. We have futsal men's league on Mondays, women's league on Tuesdays, P-League basketball on Wednesdays. Thursdays, we have street dance performances that come out to the site, and we have 100+ people coming to watch those on a regular basis. Fridays is rolling at the yard as well as the skate camps. And then over the weekend, we have everything from gardening workshops to Zumba to water play, and it's just an open public park. So even when we aren't programming, this operates as a park. It is open to the public from dawn to dusk. It's not uncommon to go out there at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday and see 8 or 9 people playing basketball and just sort of hanging out there, or going out at noon and seeing people who work at Voinovich going out to sit down and have lunch and look at the water as well. So it has been really active, has been a great sort of way to pilot future uses for the site. The last thing I'll add in here is we really wanted to make sure that this was an inclusive experience and that we were bringing in all demographics in Cleveland and in the region. So we looked really hard at ourselves and our programming and who we were attracting last year with the goal of improving. And last year we recognized that we very successfully engaged youth and kids-focused activities, families, male-focused recreation, so soccer and basketball and men's leagues, Black communities and immigrant and refugee communities. We realized there were some gaps in who we were actually bringing down to the site. So we diligently worked to find partners and create programs that filled in those gaps without losing the programming that we're already doing, to ensure that we are working to bring every demographic that is in Cleveland down to the site. So that includes programming that's specific to seniors, working with partners in the Latinx and Asian communities and Indigenous communities, adding in women's soccer leagues and women's basketball leagues to ensure that we're offering recreation for everyone, as well as arts and culture, and working with the Freshwater Institute with the county for water-focused education. So, the goal of this is every year until we're in the permanent version of a lakefront development site to continue to do these hard looks and improve on our inclusivity and make sure that we are attracting everyone, because everyone in Cleveland deserves access to this great asset that we have. And just a few partners. This is a few of many, but really working with both the stakeholders down there as well as organizations that are already doing great work in the city to ensure that we are bringing folks down from every part of the city. And this is a lakefront for everyone and not just for people who live close to it. Okay, be quick.
I'm from New York, because that's how I am.
Oh, yeah. California, because yes.
Appreciate moving the presentation through really quickly. Just one quick question. Thank you for all the detail and the data. What has been the most challenging surprise? So something, and there's probably many, but just share one. That
mayflies last week were a big one.
My office is in the flat, so I understand.
Yeah, that was a surprising one. I think challenging, not in surprising, but challenging in execution. And this is a lesson that we will learn, that we will take through the entire permanent lakefront development, is just because you build it doesn't mean they will come. And especially for this site, even once the land bridge is constructed, which starts construction next year, even once the shoreway is taken down to a boulevard, which starts construction next year, this site is still, you're never going to stumble upon it by accident. And then one of the lessons that we learned that was really important, we knew going in, but really had to work at it, was programming is going to be something we're doing in perpetuity. So as I'm growing my organization, programming is something that, while I initially thought, I think, well, a couple years of temporary activation, now we're building a team around being able to do that in perpetuity, to ensure that we are being diligent in attracting folks that aren't just the regular folks you're going to get anyway, and that we're offering fun recreation activities. I think that was I don't know if it's the biggest surprise, but the biggest challenge is that it takes a lot of effort and work.
Thank you for that.
Madam Chair, appreciate the update. This is good information to know that things are working. As you guys start to evolve through the planning process and figuring out where things want to be or feel like they should be, I just might want to offer that hopefully some portions of this effort might still offer the opportunities to pop up. So you sort of test some assumptions and continually evolve.
Yeah. So thank you for that that comment. 100% agree. I think when you look at versions of these sort of pop-up temporary areas around the country, one of the common denominators is they usually get too popular to close. So as we're thinking about, and we'll talk a lot about this later this year, as we think about what the street grid looks like, because with 50 acres, you're looking at a new neighborhood, what circulation looks like within it. We are thinking about what are the areas that can still remain flex areas, and then how do we use things like community blacktops that you can use for 1,000 different possibilities, and how do we instill those in the permanent version so we can still continue to iterate and to try things out. Yeah.
Awesome.
No. Great presentation.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to
Thank you all.
having you all
Appreciate it.
back. Thank you so
Thanks, guys.
much. All right. Oh, man. I will turn it over to our Assistant Director for final comments and Director's Report. And just a note that Friday, June 3rd, City Hall is closed in observation of Independence Day. That would normally be our Planning Commission Day, but of course we'll have to push that back. So the next meeting will be Friday, July 10th. And as you can see, the remaining meetings through August are listed. So yes. And then I have updated the city planning website. Yes. Yeah, still probably a little bit more work to be done on it, but it's now up and running. I will have Evelyn, who worked hard on her, and Ari really helped to pull this together. And so if you want to just kind of share with them some of the elements.
Yeah, I have a little graphic here. You can see we're integrated into the main City of Cleveland website. So you'll be able to access our agendas and meetings and everything through that new site. Pretty sure it's just /planning. And the old website should route you into the new one. So yes, yeah, we figured that one out. So we're making a lot of improvements, a lot of more accessible information on the website to come. Very excited.
Awesome. Thank you, Evelyn. I appreciate your work. With that said, at 11:56, we are officially adjourned for the day. We'll see you all on July 10th. Thank you.
Next, how do I stop?
It's fine.